Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It really depends on the place you are around the world. Welcome to a new chapter, a new episode with Coffee with Kavanah. And today I'm pleased to have Andrew Keene with us. We are going to explore a powerful idea how Andrew is working with small businesses in Israel but serving also as engines of resilience and rebuilding from Israel. So let me give a great welcome to Andrew. And before I give him the word, I need to say congrats because he's the winner of the Z3 Projects 2025 Bridge Builder Award. We will be talking about this one. So welcome to the show, Andrew. It's a great honor for us to have you here. And also, we will be able to talk and explore what you guys are doing in your project. So, thank you very much. And let me go into the show.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for being here. To
Great to be
begin,
here.
could you share with us your personal journey in arriving in Israel and how that experience tied into your sense of mission for small business support?
Yeah, I never really intended on moving to Israel. I grew up very connected to Israel, with a love of Israel. It was part of my Jewish identity growing up. I've served on the board of several Jewish organizations and have had the privilege of spending a lot of time in Israel, but it wasn't until about 3 years ago that something clicked and I said, maybe I could live here. And so I went back and thought about it and decided, it was the right time to make a big change in my own life. And for me, Israel was the place to make that change. And my original date of Aliyah was October 7th, 2023. That was the day that I was supposed to make Aliyah. That unfortunately didn't happen for obvious reasons. And so in the time between October 7th and the end of December of 2023, when I actually made Aliyah, I had time to really think about what I wanted to do. And, I come from the world of technology, or as Israelis say, high tech. Everything here is high tech. I it didn't feel right to just go to Israel and jump back into high tech and doing exactly what I was doing in the States. And then one thing led to the next, and I ended up in a number of WhatsApp groups connecting with and supporting small businesses in Israel. And it was something I didn't know really anything about, other than, every time I've been here, of course, I go to shops and restaurants and, you can't be in Israel without supporting small businesses. But I didn't know anything about small businesses as an industry or as a part of the economy. And as I learned more and more and more, I was just amazed by how important small businesses are to the Israeli economy, to the Israeli society, to kind of the Israeli way of life. And I didn't know exactly what, but I wanted to do something that combined my background in business and technology, but also working with these just remarkable small businesses. And that's ultimately what led to ESEK, which I'm sure we'll talk about,
Yes.
in more detail. But I made Aliyah at the end of December 2023, and ESEK was officially born the week after, the first week of January 2024. And it's been almost 2 years, better part of 2 years, and we're doing lots of what I think are meaningful projects and taking on new projects. And it's given me a lot of purpose individually, but it's also been collectively very rewarding for the team that I work with and the hundreds of small business owners that we've had the privilege of meeting.
Let me go into the ESEK model. What you have recently mentioned. How did you came up with this one?
Yeah. So after October 7th, I was not in Israel yet. I feel like I was on the way. But I saw, especially online, especially from the American Jewish community, just because that's what I was most connected to, people really wanted to support Israel economically. People understand that when Israel is in crisis, that people dig a little deeper to give to causes, to charitable causes that they care about in Israel. That's kind of just what we do. But also people understand, even if they can't like quantify why, they understand it's important to support the Israeli economy and to support Israeli businesses. And after October 7th, there were a number of Facebook groups that popped up with very generic names like supporting the Israeli economy or supporting Israeli small businesses or buying from Israel's small businesses. And these were not small groups. I mean, some of these were 75, 80, 90,000 individuals in these groups. And you had American Jews saying, I'm looking for this. I want to support that. I have to buy gifts for this holiday. Can I buy them from Israel? And on the other side, you had Israeli businesses saying, hey, I make this, I make that,
Yes.
but no one's coming here. No one's traveling here right now. And you would think that this would be a match made in heaven, that you've got great demand and nearly infinite supply. But what we found is that actually, when you started reading through the comments and just engaging one-on-one with both the Americans who wanted to be supportive and the Israelis who were looking for customers, there was a lot of mismatch. I keep going back to Americans. I know this is a global community that's listening here, but Americans have very high standards for shopping. Amazon has kind of set the bar for free 2-day shipping in the States, easy
Yes.
returns. It's effortless, and there's similar types of e-commerce sites all over the world. Mercado Libre in Argentina. I mean, there's a lot of places making e-commerce very easy, and we have rising expectations. And on the other side, Israeli small businesses, make amazing products, amazing art. Providing Amazon level service delivery is not necessarily their core capability. And so what we found, as I said, is Americans, best of intentions, wanting to help, wanting to support. Israelis thrilled that they were getting that support and thrilled that people were, calling them over the phone with their credit card number to buy something. But then things kind of disintegrated. Things don't arrive on time. The customs paperwork wasn't completed correctly. Someone in New York needed it in 2 weeks. The person in Israel took 2 weeks to make it and only shipped it afterwards. It was just not a great experience, to actually get the product over the finish line. And that middle set of issues is what inspired ESEK, because I have a American background when it comes to technology and e-commerce and marketing, and a deep appreciation for what Israeli small businesses, and that appreciation is getting deeper by the day, an appreciation of what they're good at and what they're not good at. And I figure if we can, energize the global audience, and now at this point we're engaging with people in 51 different countries. So the US is only one of 51 countries that we're working with. And we can help the Israeli small businesses do the part that they're not so great at. I think we can, create a model that works for everyone, and that's really what we've tried to do over the last 2 years. The first is create a website that speaks to a global audience. We write it in English, but it's translated automatically into many languages, and I can see the statistics of people. There's just as many people engaging in non-English languages as English language right now on the site. Like every site, it can be better, and we're continuously improving.
Yeah, sure.
But it looks like it's something that is reliable and trustworthy, and people might want to buy something from. And we're working with Israeli small businesses from across Israeli society, across the country, who make amazing things, and that's a wide range. And we do the middle part. We work with the American customers and deal with customer service issues, because even the best business, customer service issues come up. Things break, things
Sure.
get delayed. It
That's
happens.
normal.
Yeah, Amazon has that too, I think.
Sure.
And the part that was really transformative was we don't put the risk on the small business. That was what really made us different than any other
Ah,
e-commerce site selling from Israel. Is the expectation from the site is that the Israeli producers make things, and then it goes either on the site on speculation or on consignment. And what we found is that as the war progressed, small businesses had smaller and smaller amounts of free cash flow, money sitting in the bank. They weren't willing to make things unless they knew they had a customer. And we have the privilege of being able to put together what at the beginning was a modest amount of money. And we went to the small businesses and said, first, we know you have stuff sitting on the shelf. Sell us what's sitting on the shelf. Don't make anything new. Sell us what you have. We'll put that on the site. We'll sell it, get customers interested. And if it works, we'll come back and buy more. And that basically, at the end of the day, is the model that we've been working on for 2 years. And we get about 50 businesses a week that reach out to us. Either they have an audience abroad that they can't quite meet the demand because they're not good at the shipping or the logistics or the customs, or now with the United States, the tariffs. We have businesses that say, listen, I've been sitting on inventory for 2 years because there's no tourism coming to the north or to the south. Or we have businesses that said, we think we have a product that might be good for an abroad audience. Will you help us develop it? And we've done all of that. But at the end of the day, what makes us different and what I'm most proud of is that we've taken on the risk that other businesses, nonprofits have put on the small businesses. And yeah, we carry a lot of risk, but with that comes a lot of reward, both for us because it allows us to stay operating, and for the businesses because we can go to them and say, instead of we want one thing or two things, we want 1 or 200 things or 1 or 2,000 things, and it's a great deal for them. We don't negotiate with them. They tell us this is a fair price. This is the price I need to make. We don't argue. And then the price that our customers see abroad includes our time and free shipping costs because that's what people expect. And we try to make it a win-win, even when there's a bit of risk for us in the middle. But I wouldn't say it in a nutshell. That's the long story of how we got to the model that we use.
Yeah, and then let me talk about which is the website, because I want to tell the audience about the website.
Yeah, the website is esek.biz, ESEK.biz. So ESEK is the Hebrew word for business. It's like a very common word in modern Hebrew, and biz, obviously, the translation. So that's the website we landed with, esek.biz.
So, so guys, you have already listened about this one. Now you need to start shopping. You can ship everywhere in the world.
Yes, everywhere. We've shipped 51 different countries on every continent except Antarctica.
Well, we need to convince a Jewish penguin over there. So
exactly,
maybe he will buy it. So anyway, it's great. So no good model is without challenges, and you have had many challenges. From your experience so far, what are the toughest constraints you face? Capital, logistics, demand, or import regulations for different countries, for this 50 whatever countries?
Those are exactly the challenges that keep me up at night. So, it's the challenges that are outside of our control. We have a very good team. I have an amazing co-founder. At this point, if there's a challenge that's in our control, we can find a way to fix it or deal with it. It's the challenges that come up either out of the blue or from government-imposed things that we just have to, I say, research our way out of. We have to find out every angle into it. The latest, I'll work backwards on your list. The United States has imposed a new global tariff system. On the face of it, tariffs are easy to understand. Okay, this product comes from a certain country. Now it costs 15% more. From a capital perspective, that's bad for us. But we could solve that. The issue was suddenly you have millions of packages going into the United States that 2 months ago were not subject to tariff, and today are subject to tariff, which means that a human actually has to inspect them. Systems have to be created both on the export side and the import side, and things get delayed. Things have been very, very slow to move through the system.
Is that right?
Yes. I mean, we have a tracker of just packages that, might become problematic. And the minute we see that there might be a challenge, we're, using brokers and agents and engaging with the shipping company directly or with the authorities to get things moving, because there's such a significant backlog of packages waiting inspection, both on the export side here in Israel and on the import side in the United States, that if you're not fighting for your parcel to get through, it goes quite literally to the back of the line. So that's one that we're working through. Things are getting slightly better, but just, UPS, FedEx, the tax collection authority, it just was not set up to process this many packages. So that's one issue that not in our control, but we're dealing with it. We're setting expectations with customers that this is a reality. We're pre-shipping things to the States so that we can deliver things faster. Last mile, we have Hanukkah coming up in the Jewish community. People want their gifts before Hanukkah, not after. So we're sending things ahead of time so that they'll arrive. Things like that. That's one bucket. You mentioned capital. I just told you our business model. Obviously, that's a very capital intensive business model, and every extra, dollar, shekel, euro, peso that comes into the business, we're using to buy more inventory from the businesses, and we've had to go out and raise money just to make that model work. Not to sell equity, not to raise, to raise debt, but to just give us the working capital to allow this model to keep flowing. And the people that have invested have gotten a decent return. It allows us to keep investing in the small businesses, products to flow. But a small business wouldn't be able to go raise capital in that way. Banks don't like lending for things like that. But because we had a business model to show, we were able to bring that to the table. But it's a going concern. Obviously, any business that is capital intensive, that's something you think about. Logistics also here in Israel. We have businesses all over the country, north, south, center. As I speak to you, we're working on a project for Hanukkah. We're working with some businesses that were very heavily affected in the north and the south, and making Hanukkah boxes. We're making 500 of them. They're on the website now, actually, hoping to send them all over the world. But even just to get 500 of 6 different products from 6 different parts of the country, all centralized on the same day, standardized boxes. It's a challenge. So yeah, I like these challenges, though. If I had to pick the challenges, these are ones that I would pick to deal with. So,
which are the most exported products from Israel until now?
On the consumer goods side, the most exported products generally are food products. Israel is a major, yes. Israel is a major exporter of food products. Dates, honey, oil. Not all the food products end up in the United States. A lot of it gets exported Africa, Asia, parts of the Middle East, and the Gulf. After that, it's pretty evenly spread across, art, craft. Obviously there's manufactured goods, and I'm not even touching like defense related production, because in my mind that's connected to the tech world. But yeah, after food, it's pretty spread across categories. Part of the reason the tariffs were so challenging was because a lot of the craft level stuff from Israel are religious items that are not competing with products that are made elsewhere, because people are buying it specifically because it's made in Israel. So hopefully those tariffs will work themselves out over time. But and we're working on doing food as well. This is a category that we want to be in, and presents all sorts of regulatory challenges here in Israel. And every importing country has different regulations on importing food. So we're working on it.
So, and looking ahead, how you will scale ESEK in the future? Which are the thresholds or inflection points that you are targeting now?
That's a great question. That's what keeps me up at night, amongst other things. One, e-commerce, like if you look at successful e-commerce platforms, usually they have like a hockey stick growth pattern where it's, relatively flat for a while. And then as all the engines start firing in sync, you start to see rapid growth. And we're kind of at I would say just beyond the base of that like hockey stick growth. And we're seeing that, targeted advertising is working and performing very well. After 2 years, the word of mouth value is very strong. And we see that just based on the data, our own data in Shopify, which is the e-commerce platform we use. People who first engaged with us in the first 6 months of us being online, bought something for something modest, $20, are now coming back to us and spending 10 or 20 times that across multiple orders. So we're starting to see just our own organic growth from being around for 2 years. We've had very good press coverage, not that we've gone out and sought, but just people who understand that supporting Israeli small businesses matter and are willing to amplify, not necessarily ESEK. I mean, it's not self-promotion, but the fact that
No,
there's a
no.
way to support small businesses and we give people that way to do it, that's been very helpful. But really the engine, in terms of dollar growth, in terms of growing average size of order, things like that, is working with organizations and businesses, and working with businesses to find products in Israel that they were going to buy anyways, things that they might not even realize there's an Israeli alternative for. And so we've actually found small and I'd say even medium-sized businesses who make things that are not glamorous by any means, but things that businesses all over the world use. And we have business owners, Jewish and non-Jewish, all over the world who are looking for ways to support Israel using money that's already in their operating budget. And so we found, you name it, plastic products, medical products, batteries, things that I didn't even know were made in this country, but are, and buyers overseas who can get something competitively priced and support Israel at the same time. That's a big engine of growth for us in categories that don't look great on a website, but there's demand for.
Sure.
And also organizations. I mean, organizations, Jewish and non-Jewish, who are connected to Israel, spend a lot of money on gifts, on products, on things to make the community run. I'll just put that as one broad category, and we want to make it very easy for them to buy things that they need from Israel, as opposed to buying, which I was shocked to learn, there's a lot of Jewish items made in Asia and China and whatnot that no commentary on that, but I prefer they
No,
bought
they
them.
can switch over to Israel.
I would prefer if they bought them here from Israeli small
Sure, sure.
businesses. So
And let me go to small businesses. How do you see the role of the small businesses playing in the Israel economy's recovery after the post war?
it's huge. There are almost 700,000 small businesses in this country, which means in a
Repeat the
country,
number: 700,000. That's
yes,
a big number.
huge, which means in a country of
Yes,
10 million people,
yes.
everyone knows someone who runs a small business or who works for a small business. So there's no one exempt from the small business economy in this country. And around the dinner table, someone is talking about either their own small business or the small business they work for and how it's been affected in the last 2 years. It causes a great deal of stress, especially for family businesses, where that's their main source of livelihood. We've had in the last 2 years the most number of reservists called up to military service. Reservists are also small business owners. They're taking time away from their business at the risk of losing customers, losing orders to fulfill their national service. We've had families that have been evacuated from their homes in the north and the south that are now living in much smaller conditions, that they can't make the product that they make. So as Israel starts to return to, I hate the term return to normal because it's not going to happen, but return to whatever the next
Except,
routine looks like. People
okay.
start moving back to their homes. The number of reservists comes down. Please God, tourism comes back to the country. Small businesses are going to be at the center of that, and we need to make sure that anyone who is coming to Israel, anyone who cares about Israel, whether they're here physically or not, understands that when you spend $10, £10, €10, 10 pesos with a small business, it's quite literally going into the pocket of a real person with a real family, and is the most direct form of support you can provide to the Israeli economy, because there's no middleman. That you buy something from a small business, that is the support. It doesn't go through a bank account, it doesn't go through a nonprofit, it doesn't go through a distribution. It goes right to them, and it's dignified, right? It's not charity. It's actually engaging with them, doing business, which is what they exist to do. We've seen a lot of businesses close, a lot of restaurants close, a lot of, I would say people who have like side hustle businesses close them. So I'm hoping that in this next phase, we will see some of these businesses come back to life and reinvent themselves and recreate. But the ones that have been kind of on like hanging tight on this roller coaster for the last 2 years, I really hope that they will get a little bit more breathing room. That it will not be so tight from a cash flow perspective. That there will be more demand, from people coming from abroad, but also domestic tourism is a thing here in this country. People do go away for the weekend or the week to the north and the south, and even when international tourism is down, a lot of these businesses depend on domestic tourism, which we haven't seen in the last 2 years. The economy also has been, pointed flat or pointed down in the last 2 years. So Israelis are not spending as much either on nice to have products. So I'm hoping that as the war, simmers down and some of these things start to breathe again, that we will start to see small businesses thrive, not just survive. And my mission, people ask, is ESEK going to continue after the war? Absolutely, because our mission becomes helping people around the world in every language we can speak understand that part of supporting Israel is supporting small businesses. It's not frivolous. It's not extra. It's really core, and it makes a big difference.
I have a question about this one. How can communities outside of Israel, some networks, some federations, some synagogues, some communities, all around the world can engage and can network really close what you guys are doing with ESEK? Because I might think that it is really important to support this 700,000 or whatever. I mean, the big number of small business is in Israel. But give us a challenge to all these people that is watching this the podcast in order to, it's not to help, it's not to, I mean, we need to buy from all these people because that money is going to their pockets, as you mentioned. So how can we speak loud and tell, come here, buy from us, because this is the way that we will recover the economy in Israel.
Yeah, I'll add one thing I forgot to say. It's not just that it goes into their pocket, but they spend that money with other small businesses. So
Yes.
people ask us all the time, you don't support restaurants, you don't support service businesses. I say, you're right, but the businesses that you buy from through us, they support them. They're hiring local employees. They're buying from local producers who make the inputs to their products. They're going and spending that money in local restaurants. So that money does have a ripple effect in the local economy. And what I know from working with small businesses is small business owners in this country do everything they can to support other small business owners. So there is a huge ripple effect. You asked about how people can support. It's an active choice. And so when I meet with communities or organizations, I say, you're not just going to stumble upon supporting an Israeli small business. It's not enough that you once a year you're looking for a gift and maybe you find our website or maybe you find another place to buy from a small business. Set aside an hour, meet with your team, really look at your budget. What are you doing in the next year where instead of buying something from China or from Amazon, what could you buy from Israel? And let us be your partner in connecting you with that small business. I mean, if every organization or family or community said, we're going to spend 1%, 5%, whatever number of our either household budget or organizational budget on buying things from Israel consciously, it would make a tremendous difference. And we get emails all day, every day with people who, maybe that's what they're doing or maybe not, but the output is the same, that they want to connect with small businesses to fulfill X and Y need. There would be nothing more than I would love to do is hire an army of people who all they do is respond to these requests. But it takes people being conscious and thoughtful about it. And, we're very thoughtful about where we give our money to charitably, right? I mean, every person at some level is thinking, okay, if I'm going to make a donation this year to support Israel, I'm going to give to this organization or that organization or split it or neither. Or what? We need to have the same level of thoughtfulness about how we spend our non-philanthropic dollars in Israel.
Great. And what do you hope will be the legacy of ESEK let's say 5 years from now? Because I will call you in 2030 and see where you are now.
The first thing, it's a
Remember,
great question.
October 2030, we will have another podcast.
I'm putting it on my calendar. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully in person we can do it. First and foremost, I hope that when people mention ESEK to small businesses in Israel that we've worked with, that they smile and they say, "Wow, ESEK was a great partner to us at a time when it was pretty difficult to do business." If nothing else, I would feel good about that being a legacy of what we were able to accomplish. Second, we didn't even talk about this. I should have mentioned this. Every business we work with, at some level, we're trying to tell their story on the website, on our social media, and let people see not just the thing that they're buying, but get to see the faces and the story behind the people who made it. And I would love, I don't know how to quantify it, but for people who maybe don't know much about Israel or have a very limited perspective of what Israel is and is not, to have a window into what I call everyday but remarkable Israelis who are not connected to the political dimension here, who are not connected to the military dimension, but are living their lives, who are making amazing things, who have the same interests and passions and hopes and dreams as people in any other part of the world. And if we can help tell their story and let people see a different window into what Israeli society looks like, I would also feel very good about that. And those are kind of the two things that that guide everything we do. If we can tell people's story and we can be a great partner to small businesses, we're doing what I think we should be doing. And I hope in 5 years, anyone you talk to who's engaged with us will share in that.
Nice words, nice words. Well, Andrew, thank you very much. It has, time is flying, and this was a great, great conversation. I like your human, model what you're doing, because it's a human touch on what you guys are doing. I think that you also it's a big quote of solidarity here with a lot of impact. And I would like to call on our viewers, our listeners. If you want to get involved, please, visit the ESEK platform. Let's see what these guys are offering, because it's amazing. And we will also be helping small businesses and small businesses throughout Israel. So until next time, this was another Coffee with Kavanah. Stay curious, stay kind, stay connected. And again, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. And guys, see you in my next Coffee with Kavanah. Please do not forget to subscribe. We are reaching good numbers. So come here. And again, thank you very much, Andrew. Great thing, ESEK, and congrats on your award on Z3. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, everyone.